If you feel like you're doing everything right in your midlife health journey and you are still completely stuck, this episode's for you. I wholeheartedly understand exactly what that feels like. I've been on my own functional health journey for over 5 years. I've been in the wellness space for over a decade. I've seen and done a lot of things, some that have been great, some that I really learned a lot from that weren't that great for my health. I've learned a lot about the order of operations that matters for whole healing. And most of all, I've learned what midlife health feels like. I've shared this on other episodes, but I'll share it quickly here again. At 38 years old, my health went completely backwards, and I really didn't know why. It was right after my fourth baby. I was doing all the things I had always done to take care of myself, but I was going backwards. I was gaining weight at a rapid pace. I had crazy amounts of inflammation. My fatigue was awful. My anxiety was through the roof. My mood was low. I was irritable all the time. I felt like I was walking around with a weighted blanket. That is the thing that I talk about all the time. Like, no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried to eat clean, move my body, sleep, stress manage, nothing worked. I felt awful. And I really did feel like I was doing everything right. I was doing everything that all kinds of people were sharing with me, right? Like what I should be doing, what I needed to be doing, what I had to be doing in order to take care of my health in midlife. I hear this all the time from women I speak to, that midlife and the messaging and marketing and all the should be's that we all are shared with all the time is incredibly overwhelming, not to mention defeating. Because it feels like no matter what you do, no matter where you turn, that you're not actually going to be able to get anywhere because you're kind of just spinning your wheels. And so that's what I want to kind of talk about today, because what's holding you back in midlife may be something that you don't even realize. And I want to take a moment to unpack that, because I've had to do this work in my own life. I also do this work with my clients. Sometimes it takes that objective perspective to really say, how do we evaluate this? How do we go a level deeper? How do we really assess where you're at? And how do we really point out blind spots? How do we look for what may be additional pieces to the puzzle that we haven't looked at closely enough before? And so that's what I want to talk about today. Stress is a big one, and I know women get annoyed hearing this. For me, I got annoyed hearing all the time that I just needed to manage my stress better, that it was probably stress, that I was overstressing somehow, doing this, this, and this, and that I needed to just manage my stress better. I got annoyed. But here's what I learned. It actually was true. And you may not want to hear that, but it actually was true. And it wasn't only the stress that I was carrying around as a mom and trying to manage my job and my family, my husband, all of the things in our home, all of the lists, right? It wasn't just stress just coming from external life. It was the stress I was also putting on my body because of lifestyle choices I was making when I didn't understand my physiology enough, right? Like what my body really truly needed. That was a big piece. The other big piece, as far as what's holding you back or what might be holding you back, is the conflicting information. You should do this. You should take that. You should just, try this thing, try that thing. I have people tell me daily how overwhelmed they are by all of the information, all of the confusing advice. What do they do? What do they not do? And we're going to get to what you do. I want to kind of call this to attention as something that might be holding you back, because that adds stress as well. So the stress component, it's like the thing that happens underneath the hood at all times. It's kind of there in some capacity. How elevated it gets based on what we're consuming, what we hear, what we don't hear, who's supporting us or not supporting us, how we feel, all the things. So this is a big one. The conflicting advice and the confusion is a big one. And I want you to think about that. Like, how much are you consuming? Where are you getting your information from? And how do you shut down the noise? I'm super passionate about sharing very dedicated and knowledgeable information in a very targeted way, because I'm trying to do the best I can as a coach, but also a midlife woman, to simplify this for other women. Because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or like you're in analysis paralysis because there's just so much coming at you. I know what that feels like. It's not fun. And so finding dedicated places where you get your information is huge. credible people, knowledgeable practitioners, women who have been through it, who can point you in the direction of what really truly matters most and when, right? So that's another thing as far as things that could be keeping you stuck, us stuck, midlife women stuck. The next one is a big one. And this took me a while too. And this is feeling disconnected from your body. I think as women especially, we are taught to grind to the max, just keep powering through. We follow a 24/7 clock, right? Circadian rhythm. There's nothing ever shared about our infradian rhythm when it comes to like day-to-day life or society or work or anything like that. And just to recap, our infradian rhythm is the 28-day cycle we have as females, right? We all have an infradian rhythm that actually also pairs up with the energy of the moon, which is why at certain times of the month, we have better energy than others. Our mood is better than others. Our sleep is better than others. All of it changes. We are literally physiologically different every single day because of how our hormones fluctuate. And so because of the fast-paced society that we live in, all of the obligations, the responsibilities, the expectations we have on ourselves and that others put on us, whatever it might be, we start to get really disconnected from like, who am I and what is my body telling me and what do I need? I see this hold women back a lot, and it held me back in my journey for quite some time. And it wasn't until I really started to learn what female physiology really is, how our hormones ebb and flow, what each hormone does in the body, why it matters to get educated about them. It wasn't really until I started to learn that knowledge that I started to understand, wow, there is a lot that I'm doing that has nothing to do with nurturing my female body. And that can be a big thing that keeps us stuck and holds you back. So I want you to think about that. Like, are you someone that has some sort of pulse on how your body is feeling day in and day out? Like, do you track your cycle? Do you track your energy, your mood, your symptoms? Do you have a pulse on your physiology? It is huge for really assessing what might be holding you back, where your blocks are, and how you can move forward on your health journey. I see this often with women. Like, we don't even give ourselves permission enough or sit down enough or pause enough to say, who am I? What do I need? And how do I even feel right now? And we're going to talk about how we get to those things here in a second. We'll get back to our conversation shortly after this message. If you are an overwhelmed and completely confused mom who just wants a simplified, easy to follow, and understandable plan when it comes to their health and wellness journey, then you're in the right place. As a wellness coach, I focus most on empowering women to follow a highly personalized and bio-individual plan that actually gets you results and that feels sustainable for your longevity. I'd love to invite you to set up a free coaching call to talk about your health and wellness journey. Head to erinshreer.com/coaching to set up your call today. Again, that URL is erinshreer.com/coaching to set up your call. And to make it even easier, head to the show notes of this podcast and click free coaching session to set up your call ASAP. Now let's dive back into the conversation. The last thing is the no roadmap. And this is the one I'm the most passionate about. And I speak from experience as someone who's done a lot of things in the wrong order, that no roadmap is a big deal. When you're assessing like, why am I stuck? How come I can't make progress? Why do I still have these symptoms? Why do I still have XYZ that I'm managing? Whatever it is. I want you to ask yourself if you have a roadmap. Do you have a clear roadmap and someone who's guiding you through that roadmap for your unique life and physiology? If it's a no, then you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels and you're going to stay stuck. And again, speaking from experience as someone who did a lot of things in the wrong order, I collected a lot of great data, a lot of great information, working with a lot of great practitioners, learned so many amazing things on the way. I'm so grateful for all of it. I also wish I would have had a much clearer roadmap as far as what the order of operations is when it comes to whole healing and making progress. So when you evaluate where you are right now, I want you to think about that. Do you have a clear roadmap or not? And if you don't, it's likely time for you to invest in something that can give you that, because that is really the key. So I want to shift into like, what are the mindset shifts we can grasp here? What's going to make a difference when we think about getting unstuck? When we're evaluating reasons we might be stuck, what do we do now, right? I talked about this when I was kind of sharing all of these different things. What do we actually do now? The first is understanding this. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more willpower. You don't need to just try harder. And that's what a lot of women do in this season. They just feel like they have to internalize it all and they have to keep willpowering their way to results. That is not the way. The way is starting to figure out how to create a plan that actually aligns with your unique physiology. In the points we talked about with why you may be stuck, we talked about stress. We talked about conflicting advice and all the confusing messaging. We talked about feeling disconnected from your body, not having a roadmap. All of those things can be addressed by learning how to work with your physiology, like actually starting to track and understand what is your body doing. This is something that I talk to my clients about from the beginning of my program. We have to understand where your physiology is. We do that by tracking habits, sleep, stress. What does your nutrition look like? What does your water intake look like? What does your movement throughout the day look like through steps? Are you doing workouts or not? What do those look like and how do you feel? But beyond that, what is your physiology doing by tracking your cycle, tracking your symptoms, and then assessing it, the overall picture of how you truly feel from the inside out? That is really the key. That's the first piece as far as mindset wise. This is not about more discipline. This is about getting really personalized for your unique wellness. The second thing is understanding that worth is not tied to all of this effort that you're putting in. And I see this time and time again with women. We attach our worth to all of the things that we're doing. And when we do that, we don't realize that it actually can keep us stuck. And I said a little bit more about like giving ourselves permission, slowing down enough to pause. That's what I mean in this point. There's a lot of value in just being for a couple moments in time. That is something that I try to practice every single day in some way. Just being, just sitting, no inputs, consuming nothing, no technology, no absorbing online. And I usually do that honestly through a walk. I usually go outside, no technology, no walk, and I let my mind just be. And I do my best to just soak in exactly where I am. And I want to encourage you to really do this because when you think about reasons you might be stuck, it might be because of all the doing. It might be because of all the consuming. It might be because you're troubleshooting here and there and trying to put all these pieces together, but you don't have, one, a grounded plan in your physiology, but two, enough pause to understand that your worth and your value and all the things are not tied to all the things you're consuming and doing on a day-to-day basis. You are already worthy always, as you are. And this is a big one, mentally and emotionally for women. We attach our worth to things or the things that we're doing or accomplishing. We don't need to do that. You are all already worthy, right as you are. And remember that just being and giving yourself the space to be is one of the greatest introspective practices you can practice because it gives you enough clarity and enough time to slow down and see, wow, how am I stuck? How am I in my own way? What do I need to remove or adjust or evolve out of or evolve into in order to press forward in my life? So that's another big one. The last is understanding that you are allowed to take care of yourself. I see this with moms, and I've experienced this in my own life too. There's been seasons where I felt like I couldn't take care of myself. I wasn't allowed to take care of myself. I didn't really have the time to, or I didn't need to because I was taking care of my babies. I was taking care of my family. I was doing all of these things outside of myself. And over time, I learned that that was actually completely backfiring. And it was a huge thing that was keeping me stuck. I wasn't giving myself that permission again to say, I'm allowed to take up space, to take care of me, to pour into my own cup. And quite honestly, I need it. And you need it too. So these are really profound mindset shifts that I want to remind you of. If you're evaluating this concept of why might I be stuck? I feel like I'm doing everything right, but I'm still stuck. There's always a mental and emotional component, a layer deeper that we have to become self-aware around on our health journey. I've been doing a lot of this internal work for the past handful of years, and I feel like I'm literally at just chipping away at the tip of the iceberg. Like there is so much more that I am working to learn to unpack, to learn to let go of, to learn to unwind from. I've shared this in my journey before, but I am still unpacking decades and decades of messaging that didn't serve me, that things that really weren't healthy, that really aren't practices or habits or routines that I want to take into my longevity health plan or ever teach anybody else or pass on to my daughters or my kids, right? All of these things are a part of this whole concept of potentially feeling stuck. And I think one of the most profound pieces of inside out work that we can do is assessing on a deeper level if we're actually doing everything right. The hard truth is probably not. And I work through this with my clients and with the women that I coach because we need that objective perspective. We need someone to think about our blind spots with us. We need someone to help coach us through potentially going back into old narratives or old ways of thinking that didn't actually serve us. That's one of the greatest gifts that I love more than anything being a coach, is being able to really guide women and point out things that maybe aren't really going to serve us anymore. At the end of the day, like I said, you are not alone. You are so incredibly beautiful and worthy right now. And I want to make sure you always know that. And if you're listening to this and you're someone who's saying, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but I'm still really stuck, I want to encourage you to dive into some of the things we talked about today, but also dive a little bit deeper into the mental and emotional side. Because this is one of the things that's almost always overlooked, especially in a lot of coaching programs. I know this is the harder work. I know this isn't as easy as pressing play on a workout or following a workout program or just making some nutritional changes. I know that this work takes another layer. I know that this work takes more time. And that's what I want to end with. Healing and health take time. And that's okay. We live in a society where it's instant gratification. How do we quickly transform this? How do we AI that? And instantaneously have all the things. That is not the reality for health. And if anything feels that way or is sold to you that way or marketed to you in that way, please run in the other direction. Because true longevity, whole wellness takes time. It takes grace. It takes really deep self-awareness. It takes looking at the things you feel like you're maybe doing right, but actually at a deeper level, you aren't for some reason. It takes looking at the mindset soundtracks. It takes unpacking the emotional weight. It takes really looking at the whole picture of your wellness. And I know that's not always easy to do, but it's absolutely an essential when it comes to inside out health and healing. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I know balancing time and energy can be a challenge, and I'm so proud of you for listening in and investing in your wellness journey. I feel incredibly grateful to connect with you and for the opportunity to share more knowledge, stories, and encouragement related to all things wellness. I would love to hear how this podcast has served you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on either iTunes or Spotify. Your support truly means the world to me and helps me reach more women just like you and me who are looking to transform their health from the inside out. Plus, when you share this episode with a friend, we invite more women in to learn alongside us. What a gift. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we know, the better we can do. For ourselves, for our families, and our future. Well done on taking the step towards a healthier, happier you. Until next week, stay empowered and stay well.